reduce a long and respected career to rumors and sensational storytelling, especially when it overlooks the real craft behind it. Shirley Jones built her reputation long before the Partridge Family ever appeared on television. She began as a classically trained performer, making her mark in Hollywood musicals where talent and discipline mattered far more than image alone. Her early career quickly established her as a serious actress, not just a pop culture television figure. One of her most defining achievements came when she won an Academy Award for her role in Elmer Gantry, a performance that showcased her dramatic depth and range far beyond musical comedy. This was the kind of recognition that placed her firmly among Hollywood's respected performers, long before her television fame reshaped how audiences viewed her. Later, her role in The Partridge Family introduced her to a completely new generation. The show presented a polished, family-friendly image that became iconic in 1970s pop culture. But like many long-running television figures, the contrast between on-screen image and private life often became a subject of public curiosity. In her personal life, Shirley Jones was married to actor Jack Cassidy, a well-known Broadway and television performer. Their relationship, like many in Hollywood, had both strong artistic chemistry and real-life complexity. They shared a family and also experienced the challenges that come with life in the entertainment industry, where careers, schedules, and personal pressures often collide. Jones later reflected on her life and career in memoir form, offering insight into both her professional journey and personal experiences. Like many celebrity autobiographies, it blended public history with private reflection. But it also reminded audiences that behind every carefully crafted screen persona is a real person navigating fame, relationships, and change. What often gets lost in sensational retellings is the scale of her artistic contribution. Shirley Jones was not defined by rumors or headlines, but by decades of consistent performance across stage, film, and television. From Golden Age musicals to television stardom, she maintained a career that adapted with changing times while still staying rooted in performance craft. In the end, her legacy is less about scandal and more about endurance. She represents a generation of performers who transitioned through multiple eras of Hollywood, leaving behind work that continues to be remembered far beyond the noise of speculation. Behind and stepped into a path that would quietly shape her entire career. Shirley Jones was never simply defined by one chapter of her life, even when public attention focused heavily on her most famous television role. Before that fame, she had already built a respected foundation in stage and film, emerging from a background rooted in music, discipline, and early artistic training. Her journey into entertainment began long before television cameras ever followed her. Born in Pennsylvania to a supportive family, she showed an early passion for singing, performing in church choirs and school productions. That natural vocal talent eventually led her toward professional training and auditions that would change her life. A chance introduction in New York connected her with the world of Broadway and the legendary musical team Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein too, opening the door to major stage opportunities. Her breakthrough came with South Pacific, followed by other landmark musical roles that established her as one of Hollywood's most gifted singing actresses. She later starred in productions such as Oklahoma, further strengthening her reputation during the golden age of movie musicals. These performances built the foundation of a career defined by vocal precision and emotional range. Later in life, Jones reflected on her experiences in memoir form, sharing both professional memories and personal reflections. Like many entertainers of her era, she wrote about the realities of balancing public success with private relationships, including her marriage to actor Jack Cassidy. Their relationship, like many in Hollywood, had moments of closeness and difficulty, shaped by demanding careers and the pressures of constant public attention. As her career evolved, she transitioned into television, where she reached an entirely new generation of viewers through The Partridge Family. The show gave her a lasting pop culture identity, but it also created a contrast between her earlier dramatic achievements and her later family-friendly image. What often gets overlooked is how much range her career truly covered, from Broadway stages to Hollywood musicals, from Oscar-winning performances to television stardom. That kind of longevity is rare, and it reflects not only talent, but adaptability across changing eras of entertainment. While public discussions sometimes focus on selective or sensational aspects of celebrity memoirs, her overall story is much broader. A performer who built a career across multiple decades, shifting formats and evolving audiences. In the end, Shirley Jones's legacy is anchored not in any single narrative, but in the full span of her work as a singer, actress, and enduring figure in American entertainment history. About a year after landing the role that would change everything, Shirley Jones found herself stepping into Hollywood's spotlight. Her breakthrough performance opened the door to the film adaptation of Oklahoma, a production that quickly transformed her into one of America's newest rising stars. Soon afterward, she continued building her musical legacy with appearances in Carousel and The Music Man. At the time, Jones perfectly matched the image Hollywood adored during that era: wholesome, elegant, and effortlessly all-American. Her success in Oklahoma, combined with the industry's carefully crafted Cinderella image, turned her into a household name almost overnight. But as the grand era of musical films slowly began to fade, Jones realized she needed to reinvent herself. Determined to prove she was more than just a musical star, she pursued deeper dramatic roles, including her memorable work in Elmer Gantry. By the late 1960s, she returned to Broadway, appearing alongside Gordon MacRae Cassidy in the musical Maggie Flynn. Television producers soon came calling as well. Interestingly, just a year after turning down the role of Carol Brady in The Brady Bunch, Jones accepted a role that would define a new chapter of her career, starring beside her stepson David Cassidy in The Partridge Family. The series gave her something Hollywood rarely offered working mothers at the time: the ability to stay close to home and spend evenings with her young children. Yet while audiences saw a cheerful television family on screen, far more complicated realities were unfolding behind closed doors. The same year The Partridge Family came to an end, Jones divorced her charismatic husband, Jack Cassidy, a man she still deeply cared for despite their troubled relationship. For years, many believed Shirley Jones lived a quiet and carefully guarded life. That perception changed dramatically when she released her memoir, Shirley Jones, a memoir. Readers discovered a far more candid and complex woman than the polished star they remembered from television. In the book, Jones openly reflected on her personal relationships, her marriage to Cassidy, and the emotional highs and lows that shaped her private world. She also revisited the remarkable career that placed her alongside legendary names such as Richard Rodgers, Oscar Hammerstein II, Marlon Brando, James Stewart, and Richard Widmark. What surprised many readers most was how honestly Jones spoke about the emotional intensity of her marriage and the complicated dynamics that existed behind the glamour of old Hollywood. Her memoir revealed not only stories of fame and success, but also the loneliness, heartbreak, and personal struggles hidden beneath the spotlight. It painted the portrait of a woman who had spent years balancing public admiration with deeply private battles. And just when people thought they finally understood her story, another unexpected chapter emerged after her divorce: her relationship with comedian Marty Ingalls, a pairing that many in Hollywood found surprising at the time. After divorcing Jack Cassidy, Shirley Jones eventually married comedian Marty Ingalls, beginning a relationship that lasted for decades despite occasional separations along the way. Their marriage was anything but ordinary, yet somehow those differences became part of what kept them together. Behind the laughter and public appearances was a partnership filled with unusual moments, humor, and an energy that neither of them seemed willing to give up. In her memoir, Jones openly admitted that Ingalls still made her feel admired even as the years passed. She shared playful stories about how the two kept romance alive in private, revealing a side of herself that audiences had never seen during her polished Hollywood years. It was a striking contrast to the wholesome image many remembered from The Music Man, where she played the reserved Marion the librarian, a role Jones later admitted never truly reflected who she was in real life. For years she kept those deeply personal details hidden from the public. But with age came a different perspective. Jones confessed that writing honestly about her life was difficult, yet she felt the time had finally come to tell her story without filters. Not everyone appreciated that honesty. Some readers criticized the memoir for revealing too much about her private past, especially her marriage to Cassidy and the emotional chaos surrounding it. Even Ingalls joked about being shocked by some of the stories involving her first husband. According to Jones, his sarcastic reactions only made her laugh harder. Their relationship thrived on humor, and she often said that Marty brought joy and unpredictability into her life in ways she desperately needed after years of emotional turbulence. To her, he made life feel exciting again. Jones also spoke candidly about aging, insisting that growing older did not mean losing passion, confidence, or vitality. She credited her youthful energy to healthy living, exercise, and staying active rather than turning to cosmetic surgery. In many ways, her outlook challenged the common Hollywood belief that romance and excitement belong only to the young. Looking back, Jones described herself as an innocent small-town young woman when she first met Cassidy at just 21 years old. She admitted that he introduced her to an entirely different world, one filled with glamorous parties, fame, and experiences she had never imagined growing up. Despite the pain their marriage eventually caused, she acknowledged that Cassidy shaped much of her understanding of life and the entertainment industry. Their relationship, however, was far from perfect. Jones suggested that Cassidy's repeated infidelities, jealousy over her success, and struggles as a father created deep emotional wounds within the family. Many people around her believed she tolerated too much for the sake of love. But Jones defended her choices, explaining that, regardless of public opinion, it was the life she chose to live at the time. She also revealed that her stepson, David Cassidy, shared many of the same charismatic traits that made his father so magnetic to audiences. Yet despite living in a world surrounded by fame and temptation, Jones insisted she still knew how to draw personal boundaries. She recalled one uncomfortable evening in the late 1960s while dining with Anthony Newley and Joan Collins, when a suggestion for a more provocative after-dinner activity left her unwilling to participate. Jones calmly declined, showing that even in Hollywood's wildest circles, she still followed her own instincts. And if anyone assumed Shirley Jones had completely stepped away from romance and passion with age, she made it clear they were mistaken. Jones proudly declared that women could remain vibrant and emotionally alive well into their later years. To her, growing older never meant giving up the desire for excitement, love, or connection. Even in the final chapters of her story, Shirley Jones continued to surprise audiences, not just as a Hollywood legend, but as a woman unafraid to reveal the complicated truth behind the glamorous curtain of fame.